we are going to learn so much terminology this quarter. It's going to kind of like burst your brain cells. And so as a way to keep track of that, take notes as you go through these lectures. But I also thought we should create our own glossary. So there does not exist, that at least that I can find, maybe you guys have better luck looking, there doesn't exist an aquatic insect glossary or dictionary out there. But I thought we could create our own, so I created this Google sheet, and I'll make sure there's a link to it on the Canvas site as well, where you can go in when you find a term that you've never heard before, like instar, you can go in and add the term with its definition, and that will help everyone else. And you get extra credit points if you submit a certain number of definitions to the glossary. So if you lose a couple points on a quiz, you can make up those points by submitting definitions to the glossary. So we're just gonna go with it. So lots of terms. Insects produce exoskeletons. That's their outside body armor. It's made of chitin, which is the same material that builds fungal tissue, which is super weird, right? Sometimes it's called a cuticle. And these bits of exoskeleton can sometimes form what are called sclerites, hardened pieces on the body that provide protection. So sometimes a body will be really membranous or squishy like marshmallows, and then it will have different sclerites on it as protection. Kind of like when you put on, you know, elbow protectors when you go ice skating, or I guess not ice skating, roller skating, right? The terga is a term for dorsal plates. I think of a dorsal fin, right? That helps me remember that the dorsum is on the back of an organism, like the dorsal fin of a dolphin, versus sterna are plates on the ventral part, the underside of an organism, okay? Here is a dorsal view of a stonefly larva, or you could say nymph, because this is a hemimetabolous organism. And what you can see is it has a head, right? That's the easiest part to decipher. It has a thorax. The thorax is where all of the legs extend from. And then it has an abdomen. And it has many different abdominal segments. We're gonna learn about all the other parts as we go through. These are often called cerci or singular circus. You can see the antenna come off of the head. It has wing pads developing, like its two sets of wings would develop in these wing pads coming off of the two pieces of the thorax. Oops. Oh yeah, no. I thought I had another slide in here. We'll go, well, I'm sure we'll find it. Maybe I'll just say it just in case I don't. The thorax is broken into the pronotum, the mesonotum, and the metanotum, okay? So there's three parts to the thorax too, and the wings come off of the mesonotum and the metanotum. An insect head has lots of different pieces, okay? So spend some time familiarizing yourself with all of these parts. This image is nice because it's color-coded, okay? You could create your own coloring book from images from the textbook if you were so inclined. That might be kind of fun, a fun way to study with friends. You can see, again, the antenna. Some organisms have compound eyes. Some just have ocelli, which are these light-sensing organisms, and some have both. And then the mouth parts are super complex in insects. Multiple kind of things that move around and help get food into mouths. So things like mandibles and maxilla, things like palps and paraglossa and glossa on the prementum. All of these things are, you can see these different layers of finger-like appendages that help mouth parts move. Okay. And the head is formed from sclerotized plates that meet at these suture lines. Some fly larvae heads are actually not really, they don't look like they have heads at all, and their heads are retracted inside their thoracic segments. Other heads stick out straight or are kind of up and down, and some heads kind of wrap underneath the body, okay? A lot of organisms with kind of sucking, probing mouth parts kind of flip out and puncture organisms for predators. Okay, maybe this is where I go into the thorax. So this is back to that stonefly. Each segment, so here we go. The pronotum, the mesonotum, and the metanotum. And the wings attach to the mesonotum and metanotum. Okay, insect legs. There's lots of different types of legs. There are walking legs and grabbing legs and jumping legs and scraping legs, okay? But all of these different legs, again, color-coded to help you understand the different parts, the coxa, the trochanter, the femur, the tibia, and the tarsus. And then the claws are called the pretarsus or pretarsal segments. And then we have insect wings. So the word pteron, or pteron, the P is kind of silent, is Greek for wing, which is why a lot of these names end in ptera, okay? So the name tells us something about the wing most of the time. And this is a figure from Salcedo et al. From last year, showing some really cool evolutionary connections among these orders of insects and wing venation patterns. And I just circled all of the aquatic insects so that you could kind of get familiar with them. We're going to talk about each of these orders separately, but you can see there are aquatic insects in a lot of these orders. Okay, so we're going to talk first about the hemimetabolous insects. So mayflies, Ephhemeroptera, dragonflies and damselflies, Odonata, stoneflies, Plecoptera, and true bugs, Hemiptera. They are all hemimetabolous. All right, so the first is the order Ephhemeroptera. Ephemeros is Greek for meaning lasting one day. And so what this means is you have an ephemeral winged organism, Ephemeroptera, right? And these adults, they only last a few hours to a few days, and their sole purpose is to mate, lay eggs, and die. They don't even have functioning mouth parts. They don't eat at all. And the adults are sometimes called imagos. You probably have seen them before if you've spent time on lakes and rivers. They're beautiful, delicate flyers. They often swarm. But as larvae, they live for many months to many years underwater. And so this is what their larvae or nymphs look like. A few different varieties. Often they have 3 cerci, but that's not diagnostic. The trick is that they always just have one claw, one pretarsus, okay? They are often grazers or shredders, meaning that they graze on algae or they shred up organic material. A few of them are predatory. Here's a joke. I don't have anyone to laugh at my jokes. I try to make jokes in video lectures anyway. So this is basically a mayfly reading the newspaper. He sees birth and then obituaries on the next page. It's not really true because they are laid as eggs and they live for many months to years underwater. But if you're someone who only sees their adult form, it will seem like they all were born on one day and they died the next day, right? Or the same day.